E-cigarette vape pens allow the user to make large clouds that many think are just water vapor. In reality, the cloud is a mixture of many different chemicals that were either present in the e-liquid before or produced during the heating process. A vapor is a chemical that is evaporated. What is an aerosol? Well, an aerosol is a mixture of liquid particles suspended in gas and contain many chemicals. What I always like to tell people when I'm talking about vapor and aerosols, a vapor just dissipates and goes away and there's no residual left. But an aerosol, think of hairspray. What's it do? It sticks, it stays, it doesn't go away when you spray it on your hair. That's its purpose. So that's a good example to explain what an aerosol is when you're talking to young people.
The Fall Living Well Wednesday virtual learning series is focusing on education for parents. The first online presentation highlighted the latest epidemic among youth, vaping. The latest data shows 25% of Kansas high school students currently vape or have vaped. What they may not be aware of, though, is the health risks associated with vaping. On today's Sound Living, it's not so cool to juul. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman. LiveWell Finney County CDRR Grant Coordinator and the E-Cig Prevention Grant Coordinator, Donna Gestner, says that 1 in 7 high school students in Kansas reported they use some type of tobacco, and 1/3 of those use 2 or more tobacco products, including vaping.
So how can we help them on this? Well, flavor is one way. 9 out of 10, when they first used an e-cigarette or a vape, it was a flavor product. 4.6 youth use regular cigarettes, and 17.2% have tried regular cigs. And over 1/3 of all high school students, or 34.2%, have tried e-cigs, and 14.4% are regular users of e-cigs. So why do they use e-cigs? Friends or family members use it. Available flavors. They're less harmful than other forms of tobacco. And we still don't know the long-term effects of e-cigs at this time. Let's talk about youth vaping and mental health. 60.4% of students that use e-cigs on a regular basis have reported symptoms of depression. 29.1% of Kansas high school students who have never used report symptoms of depression. 42.5% more than likely will self-harm, and 42% plan on it, and 37.5% will attempt. So you see, it's really scary that folks are using these vapes because it causes suicidal behavior. Students that use e-cigs are more likely to use alcohol and marijuana than those that have never used e-cigs. So there's a definite correlation, and 8 out of 10 have reported substance abuse.
E-cigs contain a number of chemicals, including lots of poisons and metals found in other products, which would be considered harmful or hazardous if ingested.
Propylene glycol, you can find that in antifreeze. Oftentimes that's also found in winterizing plumbing systems. Acetone, that's found in nail polish remover as a paint thinner. And ethyl benzene, you find that in products such as pesticides, synthetic rubber, varnishes, paints, and inks. Formaldehyde-based solutions are also used in embalming to disinfect and temporarily preserve human and animal remains. And maybe the most important ingredient here is nicotine. Nicotine is a drug that's highly addictive in moderate doses and is the reason why smokers smoke even when they start getting sick. Of course, in high doses, it's poison. In fact, plants make it to keep insects from eating them. It's a funny drug that has a lot of effects, but mostly it's an upper. Rubidium. It is a chemical that can be used to give fireworks their bright colors. And these are the things that's going into your body from these aerosols. So e-cig clouds are not just water vapor. It's an aerosol. It's not vapor. E-cigarette vape pens allow the user to make large clouds that many think are just water vapor. In reality, the cloud is a mixture of many different chemicals that were either present in the e-liquid before or produced during the heating process. A vapor is a chemical that is evaporated. What is an aerosol? Well, an aerosol is a mixture of liquid particles suspended in gas and contain many chemicals. Instead of just mixing with air like pure gas, aerosols can leave drops behind. What I always like to tell people when I'm talking about vapor and aerosols, a vapor just dissipates and goes away and there's no residual left. But an aerosol, think of hairspray. What's it do? It sticks, it stays, it doesn't go away when you spray it on your hair. That's its purpose. So that's a good example to explain what an aerosol is when you're talking to young people.
Gestner says third-hand vapors from e-cigs may pose a significant health risk to others, especially children.
You may be familiar with the concept of secondhand smoke. Secondhand smoke is smoke from burning tobacco products such as cigarettes, cigars, pipes, and is toxic when inhaled. Although it is not yet known whether secondhand smoke from e-cig devices is harmful, the evidence to show that third-hand smoke is dangerous to others is there. Third-hand smoke is chemicals in e-cig vapor, aerosol that remain on surfaces, and in dust, even after the vapor and the aerosol are gone. Third-hand smoke, where somebody is vaping in the area and they leave, all the chemicals are there. They remain on the surface and in dust, and even after the vapor and aerosol are gone, and react with other chemicals in the environment to form toxic chemicals that are re-released into the environment. These are potentially harmful chemicals and can be exposed to other people or animals through the respiratory system, even though there's nobody in the room vaping or smoking. Through ingestions and through skin exposure is how they receive these chemicals. Small children are especially at risk for third-hand smoke exposure because they always put everything in their mouth, their hands, everything, and they have very vulnerable skin.
From a health standpoint, Gestner says one of the biggest concerns for teens is the impact that nicotine from vaping has on the brain.
Nicotine harms the part of the brain that controls attention, learning, mood, and impulse control. It harms brain development, and brains are not fully developed until around the age 25. What I like to tell students is that it dumbs you down. So why would you ever want to do this?
According to Gestner, the 2020 National Youth Tobacco Survey reveals the impact that e-cigarettes are having on the number of U.S. teens who are using tobacco products.
E-cigarette use has been trending upward since 2011, and the real steep increase was from 2017 to 2018. Well, let me explain why that happened then. Because in 2015 was when the e-cigarette really hit the market in the United States. Then came along Juul. It started flooding the market, and there were influencers that were involved in that. Despite the slight decrease in the amount of teens who use e-cigarette from 2019 to 2020, still 3.6 million teens currently use vape. And unsurprisingly, they're the most commonly used tobacco product among teens, and they have been since 2014. Teens who use vape are 4 times more likely to start smoking cigarettes. What's even more concerning is that they're using all kinds of tobacco products.
The tobacco industry is creating vaping products which appeal to young people. This includes vaping pens that look like USB drives, ballpoint pens, watches, and even vapeware, such as a hoodie where the vape comes out of the drawstrings. Gestner says they also appeal to young people by offering flavored vapes, and that we are starting to see how vaping can cause injury and death.
As of January 8, 2020, Kansas has identified 23 hospitalized cases, including 2 deaths related to Ebola outbreak. In the U.S., according to CDC, June 15, 2023, there have been 68 deaths from vaping in the United States, with 2,800 hospitalizations. Most of these cases were among teens and young adults. Ingestion of 50 to 60 milligrams of nicotine is lethal to an adult who weighs 150 pounds. So, how can we help these students or young adults? One thing that we can do is we can pass an ordinance to restrict access. And that is something that we did in Garden City. We passed an ordinance to protect its youth in 2017. And then we went and did it in Holcomb, the spring of 2018. And then Finney County passed it for their own resolution to effect in January 2019. So you couldn't buy any type of tobacco product or vapes or anything in Finney County after January 2019. Now, we are working with the Resist group right now to change school policy to eliminate out-of-school suspension on the first offense. Now, you ask, why are we trying to eliminate this? These kids did something wrong while they were in school. Well, I'll tell you why. If you send a kid home because he was vaping, what's he going to do? He's just going to go home and vape. So what we want to change the policy to state that it's going to be in-school suspension with education and cessation information to try to help them quit. We need to give them the tools that they can do something to help themselves. We also have a program called Resist, and this is a youth-led statewide tobacco prevention program created to fight against the tobacco industry's manipulative marketing tactics on Kansas youth. Local Resist chapters work to educate their peers and advocate for local policies that restrict youth access to tobacco products. And what we want you to do is maybe in your community, get a Resist chapter started in your school or perhaps even with your 4-H club. Resist are great because they can go and talk to young people versus when an adult goes, they don't so much listen, but they will listen to their peers. And these high school kids make a huge impression on little ones, middle school kids, and even younger. They'll listen to them because oftentimes in the Resist group, you're going to have some of your star athletes, your kids that are well known, and little ones want to be just like them. So it's a great way to get the word out about what big tobacco is trying to do, that they are trying to trick you, to make you be the guinea pig. And we always tell the kids, don't be the guinea pig, be the goat, be the greatest of all time. And the great thing about this is what we have found that these kids that are involved in this Resist group is that they've learned how to public speak and how to speak up for themselves. And actually legislators listen to them better than they would listen to me. So it's great. And let me talk about My Like, My Quit. That is designed specifically for youth 17 and under. The folks there that are talking on the phone to them or texting them or emailing them are people that are trained to work with youth and how to talk to them about cessation. Then if you're 18 and older, the kansasquitline.org, or you can also text Jewel to 88709 for cessation. We also utilize a student education program with our Resist group. So when they do go out and speak, they know what they're talking about. And that program is called takingdowntobacco.com. We have put in place curriculum here in Garden City called Catch My Breath. That is a free curriculum. It is SAMHSA approved. It's a great curriculum. It goes from second grade all the way up to 12th grade. And then KDHE and the Kansas Department of Education have a project going on called Echo Project on Vaping. And that's gone on for 2 years now. And I think this is the third year of it. And it's a great program because what they do is each school has to set up a team to work on the vaping problems that they've got going on. That usually starts in August, and I'm sure if some schools out there want to get involved in that, they just contact KDHE or Kansas Department of Education, and they can get hooked up for that next session that they have coming probably next year. Then there's Kansas Vape Free Schools Toolkit. That has a lot of information. And obviously the KDHE Tobacco Prevention Program, that's where the CDRR program comes out of. And then the state resisttobacco.org is the program that I've been talking about for Resist chapters.
That's Donna Gestner, LiveWell Finney County CDRR Grant Coordinator and the E-Cig Prevention Grant Coordinator. She presented the October 4th Living Well Wednesday webinar on It's Not So Cool to Juul. The full presentation is available at ksre.ksu.edu/fcs/livingwellwednesday. The topic for the November 1st Living Well Wednesday webinar is Teen Stress and Anxiety, How Worried Do Parents Need to Be? Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman, and this is the K-State Radio Network.